Good afternoon and welcome to Radio Row live at Super Bowl 57 here in Phoenix. I'm Kayla Bradham with my partner Roy Castle from Sports Philanthropy Network with one of my past Legacy After the Locker Room podcast guests, Liffort Hobley. Liffort, thank you for being here.
Kayla, thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy I'm in town for this. This is amazing. So far, so great. I say so great, not good, but great.
So I know that everybody watching this can't see, but you brought your son along today.
I did. My son Lucas is sitting over here. He's this is his, I think, third Super Bowl event that we've attended together, and just hanging out, having a little father-son time, and enjoying it. I know his mom is probably happy that we're both gone, but that's okay. We're going to enjoy the rest of the weekend.
So Lifford, it was actually, I want to say last year or the year before, one of the people from one of your teams reached out to me and she made that introduction. She reached out to me over LinkedIn, by email, you name it. She said, I really would like to introduce you to Lifford. He's doing a lot of work to help underserved kids and underserved communities get enough to eat. This woman was with the Super Bowl of Caring. For the people who know me or who are watching this, they know I live in Milwaukee where 40% of the kids live in poverty. 40%. Lifford, tell us a little bit, first of all, about the Super Bowl of Caring.
Well, Super Bowl of Caring is a platform that basically helps communities like yours, Kayla, and like mine. I would probably say we sort of have that in common, the cities that we are from, that there's that level of poverty and level of kids that are actually basically one to five kids in this country go to bed hungry every night, which is a big number. When I say in this country, I'm talking about the entire United States. So with that 1 to 5 number, if we can actually put a dent in it tomorrow with organizations like Ernest and Young working with us here in Arizona tomorrow morning, we're going to do the best we can to help this community start the project and continue to start looking forth and look for opportunities that they can actually help resolve here in this here in the state of Arizona. So with that said, I'm here for a day. I'll be gone back to Dallas doing what I can to help my community. I'd like to put up a challenge to all of my former NFL players in this community to continue to process once I'm gone.
And I think it's really important you talk about that continuation, because one of the things that I know Kayla and I get on the soapbox about is you see some huge activations around special events, and you see a lot of attention and a lot of bandwidth and things around a Super Bowl, a Final Four, an All-Star game, a draft, things like that. But that's great. But you're talking about feeding kids. That's one day. That's a weekend. That's a week. We've got 365 days of the year. And so you can't hop from special occasion to special occasion and think that that's going to create a viable model for continuing to take care of the health of those kids.
Exactly, Roy. And that's why I'm around. I'm going to continue to remind you on a daily basis on my platform, which is the social media platform I use, LinkedIn, to remind everyone out there that this is still happening. It won't be one of those, hey, we just raised about whatever the denomination is. It's going to be an everyday task for me. I take on a challenge. I'm a pretty stubborn guy. I'm in that TARS brand, and we're going to continue this process. We're going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to continue to preach it. So this is going to go on and on for me the rest of my life, because looking back, if I want to leave something for my kids to remember, is that I worked as hard as I could to feed every kid in this country.
Talk about a legacy. So, guys, I'm going to interrupt for just a second. Stats are everything, right? So I just went to the census.gov, pulled up national poverty in America. By the way, January 2023 was National Poverty in America Awareness Month. What
That's
have
right.
we done to change things? Guys, here's what I'm finding. The official poverty rate in 2021 was 11.6. That's nearly 38 million people in poverty. And I'm going to say that again, 38 million people in poverty. We have food deserts. And I know some people listen and like we're so complacent and just so lukewarm that we don't even really know what a food desert is unless you were a kid like me. And I would sell my free lunch tickets to get enough money to go to the store each week because I could get a jar of peanut butter, a loaf of bread, and a bunch of bananas, and that would get me through the whole weekend plus to Wednesday. Then I would just have to skip lunch on Thursday and Friday and sell my lunch tickets to get through again. Right. So unless you grew up like that, unless that's your story, you might not know what a food desert is. Lifford, will you tell everybody,
Certainly,
explain that food
certainly.
desert concept?
When you live in a community that doesn't have a grocery store, doesn't have a CVS, a Walgreens, basically your convenience store that's Mr. Joe's convenience store, and basically maybe a gas station, which is pretty close to nothing, because in that community, businessmen don't want to bring their products to a community that they feel is not safe. Which, of course, there's no community that's safe on this planet. So I don't understand the concept of why business people in this country do not migrate and put their products in communities that are actually spending more money in their businesses than the ones that are actually well to do. It's just baffling.
And Lifford, you're working on a program in collaboration with some other very important people to identify those food deserts, right? Can you tell us about that?
Well, the Super Bowl of Caring, we're working on a heat map, which of course takes money to create these types of things. So I'm behind the curtain, hopefully generating the revenue that'll pay for this. In order to get this up and running in our on our platform, we need this heat map so we can recognize the communities that are actually underserved. With this heat map, we can actually closely pay attention to the food pantries around the country in every little city that shows this heat map is actually recognizing that this pantry, this pantry, this pantry, and this pantry are underserved and they need to be serviced by the food banks or whatever company we're related to that's going to basically put out the effort to serve those communities and serve those pantries. And that way the kids can actually, wherever the pantry is located, be it on campus of a school, be it at a church, be it at a facility that's facilitated by the food banks in our country, and whatever state they're in, we're able to actually see those things happen in real time, update them, reach out to the food banks, reach out to the providers or vendors that are actually providing the products, and have them put the products in those places that are actually deficient.
I think that you really raise some good points. You talk through that mechanics of what needs to happen. There's a lot of steps there. There's a lot of logistics to making this happen. So for people that are in our audience, for organizations that we work with, talk a little bit about what kind of help people from the outside can provide that would support this initiative.
Well, we do food drives, and when we can actually get donations, Kayla talked about it. The 1 jar of peanut butter that feeds you for how many meals, Kayla? A week. 1 jar of peanut butter makes a lot of sandwiches. So, with that said, donating a jar of peanut butter or everyone donates to say for instance, we have this game on Sunday. Every seat in the stand donates $1 or $2. That buys that will generate so many jars of peanut butter. It would be great to be able to actually put that out. We have athletes at high schools that we're saying, "Oh wow, those are great athletes." But the percentage of those kids that go home hungry is way higher than it should be. They're living in underserved communities. They're
Yeah.
actually not getting the nutrition that they need to be effective in sports or even in class.
Right.
Our kids are in the classroom hungry because we're not serving our communities like we
That's
should.
right. So, Lifford, two things about that. Number one, I want to just shout out every college athlete that we work with in the NIL for Good platform. I'm going to give a great example of that. Rutgers University has a program with the Knight Society. They partnered with us on our NIL for Good platform to use their name, image, and likeness to raise money for charity. They donated all of the money to a food pantry in New Brunswick called Elijah's Kitchen. These are college students who said, we want to keep our money local and we want to give back and we want to show that college kids, college athletes are committed to our community. So that's one. Number two, I think about groups like yesterday, Lonnie Young was on,
Uh huh.
12-year NFL alumni. Him and his wife, Melanie. Melanie's family started the charity Blessings in a Backpack to make sure
Right.
kids got food for the weekend. I don't think until people, Lonnie talks all the time about him coming from humble beginnings and him knowing
Certainly.
what it was like. You've shared that. I've shared that. And I think, when folks like you, like legendary NFL athletes, say, you know what, I didn't grow up privileged. Like they look at you and you got these shiny, fancy bracelets and bright glasses and stuff. So they think that you've been wealthy your whole life. Lifford, it's not easy to be transparent. And it's definitely not easy to be vulnerable. But for our listeners who are watching this, would you share the story of your childhood so people can relate to, oh, that great man who's doing this? This is what he started from?
Oh, certainly, definitely. I started in a family of, actually, I'm a sibling of 18 brothers and sisters. So my family was huge. Of course, a lot of those brothers and sisters were adults when I was born. Um, but we're a loving family. I had everything I needed. My parents tried to provide a lifestyle that would actually benefit me and my family and my sisters and brothers. Later in that period, things things got rocky. Life isn't fair for a lot of people. It was just fortunate that I actually ended up on the right side of things in Shreveport, Louisiana. I had a big support system. As an athlete, I was great at everything I did. I was great at baseball. I was great at basketball. I was great at football. I was a fast guy. I could run track. So I played all these sports and I played them effectively. I played them well. That saved my butt. I had the same pair of pants, three pair of pants to wear to school every week. I had a several couple of shirts to wear to school every week. My mom couldn't afford to go out and buy this or buy that. She was making maybe $7, $8 an hour to support seven kids. So that was not a lot. So we actually also pitched in. We worked on a weekend to help our mom support us. So that was the big thing, the big step that gave me the platform that I needed to move forward. When you work in that type of environment, you meet a lot of great people. I spent more of my time away from home at other teammates, classmates' houses, understanding how they live and going back and going, wow, there is a better side of this out there. I just don't have it now. Maybe I'll get it later. And that's how I survived. Sports pushed my butt till the limits that I could actually move forward on a scholarship to definitely get out of Shreveport, Louisiana, because staying there meant nothing but going downhill for me. So when I left to go to LSU in 1980, I didn't look back. I knew I wasn't coming back. There was nothing to come back to.
Well, you hit on so many key points there, and one of the things Kayla always talks about is hope and possibility. And I think one of the great things with sports is you always have hope. We talk about it from a competitive standpoint in terms of favorites and underdogs. No matter how big of an underdog you are in a game, you always have to feel you have hope of winning the game. Otherwise, there's no point in playing, right? But I think it's a great analogy for life because you take an opportunity and use sports, and sports provides that hope as a way to keep kids focused, to see that there's an opportunity. And Kayla and I talk about that frequently with lots of groups of kids, that sports can be that hope. but education is also that hope.
Oh,
And
certainly.
you put
It
those two together, that's really
it
powerful.
really it is, because my brothers and sisters, they were Air Force, Navy, Army veterans. That was their hope. My couple of my sisters are basically went on to college, and of course, one of my sisters stayed back. She found herself and put herself through beautician school so she could actually have the same things that I had. So it was our dream to actually live better than we knew we could. So that worked out for a lot of my siblings, worked out for me, and it's actually working for some of my relatives that are actually leaving the Shreveport community, possibly playing in the NFL in the next year or so. I have a nephew that at SMU, Elijah Chapman, coming out, hopefully get drafted this year. That's basically coming out this year out of SMU. And then, of course, Jalen Samuels, who's my cousin, who's coming out of SMU as well. So there's a lot of relatives that are actually great athletes in my family that are using the same platform I used.
Lifford, I love it. I think to just from the time I met you, you captivated my soul. I felt like a deep connection to you. I really think about those words, legacy after the locker room. And I really struggle to find somebody who epitomizes it more than you, to really create a true legacy, dedicating your life till the day you die. Feeding hungry kids will be your thing. And I look at your son, and he's sitting right next to me, and I'm thinking, like, your dad got out and rose above everything, and you have so much opportunity, and I'm just so grateful. So I want to just close on a note of gratitude, and on behalf of every kid, including my own 8, right, and on behalf of every kid who's ever been hungry, thank you for finding a solution. Instead of just talking about it, you're working on the solution. That's a big deal.
It
That's
is.
what we need to close out in gratitude. So, folks, my name is Kayla Bradham. I'm here with my partner, Roy Kessel, and Lifford Hobley, NFL alumni and president of the DFW NFL alumni chapter, reminding you to live generously. I'm going to say that one again on this episode. Live generously. Thank you, Lifford.
I think